Hello, welcome to episode 1 of the I See You HBCU podcast. My name is Keyshawn McMiller. I will be your host for this audio and visual journey. For those that are watching on YouTube, thank you. For those that are listening on all podcast streaming platforms, thank you as well. There's no script or anything for this first episode, just kind of wanted to bring about an open chat, an open soliloquy here on ultimately why I started the podcast or why I wanted to start the podcast. And then, of course, tell you a little bit about my own HBCU journey. So let's go for it, shall we? So again, this is the I See You HBCU podcast. You'll see I have my I See You HBCU shirt. Hopefully we can get those out to some people soon. And essentially this podcast was brought about by the I See You HBCU book that is available on Amazon. You can go get that now. I would recommend it if you have a little child in your life, a son, a daughter, a nephew, right, a niece, a cousin, a student, a neighbor. It really doesn't matter if you're in community with a little youth who is just looking for an interesting read, a book about discovery, a book about Black history. Happy Black History Month. It's February 1st, so significance here in creating Black history with episode 1 of this podcast. Go get the book, even if you yourself are interested in just learning about what's the significance of HBCUs, and HBCU stands for Historically Black College and University. Go get the book. It's on Amazon. I am planning to release book 2 of this I See You HBCU series in 2024. And so I will post more details about that as they come in. But nevertheless, again, the podcast was birthed from the book. And so really wanting to create a platform where we can share, and I spoke about it earlier, but literally we are creating and sharing Black history in the making, right, as it currently stands. And so thinking about Black History Month, each episode is going to feature an individual or perhaps a group of folks. Again, we're building and flying the plane, which is really exciting. So these individuals will have been affiliated with HBCUs in some way, shape, or form. And so today you'll hear about me, someone who's graduated from an HBCU, but ultimately these guests on the show could be just other students who've attended HBCUs. We may have various faculty and staff who work at HBCUs or have worked at HBCUs. I'm hoping to get a couple provosts and presidents and deans on the show soon. That's one of my goals. We may have parents of students who've attended HBCUs. I think that'll be a really interesting perspective. And maybe just overall just supporters of what it means to be affiliated with an HBCU. So you'll hear from them about their stories, the significance of those stories and those experiences. So today, very fitting, we will start with mine. And just to kick it off here, I attended 2 HBCUs. A very interesting journey. I attended 2 HBCUs, first starting with Bethune-Cookman University. And I'll be fully transparent. An HBCU, although I had various uncles and aunts who've attended and some have graduated from HBCUs, in particular, more specifically Bethune-Cookman University, an HBCU was not first on my list when it came time for me to prepare for college. To be transparent, I wanted to attend the University of Florida. We were a Gators family. I really became enamored with the culture there. Just to be more transparent, I didn't know much about the culture. I just knew um, what I knew from sports. My dad is a big sports guy, and so the Florida Gators are one of his favorite sports franchises. He watches all types of Gator sports: softball, football, basketball, you name it. Nevertheless, right, I wanted to be a Florida Gator. I did not get into, I was not admitted into the University of Florida, and so I had to explore other options. Luckily for me, at the time, I was a practicing percussionist at my high school. I'd been a percussionist since the sixth grade, and so I'd gotten pretty good. And luckily, again, for me, Bethune-Cookman University's band director, Dr. Donovan Wells, on a yearly basis during his tour of auditions, his audition tour, where he goes out and finds new band members. My high school is one of those that he often frequented, and so I had the opportunity to audition for him, meet him, and audition for him. It wasn't the best audition. It was not my best day. I was nervous, um, but I was very grateful and fortunate to ultimately receive. Now look, I'm not saying I'm at the time I was trash. Like I'm a good percussionist, and I think I really wowed him, um, wowed Dr. Wells when I did my mallet solo. Uh, and so right, that was my forte, if you will, in terms of percussion. Uh, yeah, that was my forte. So ultimately, I got the band scholarship to go march with the Bethune-Cookman Marching Wildcats, and from that point on, I was essentially preparing for band camp, which took place in July. And when I first got to Bethune-Cookman, I was, in more context, my brother attended Bethune-Cookman at the time, and so he was a freshman. I got to go to a few games. I've been to their homecoming, and so I had a glimpse of what the institution was, what it stood for, what it looked like. But right, being there as a uh, being there as a someone who's not attending, the word's not coming to me right now, but being there as someone who wasn't attending versus actually attending the institution were two different experiences. One, I got to go home back to my hometown. The other, I had to live there, stay there. And so being immersed in the Bethune-Cookman University culture was very eye-opening. As I think back on it now, it really allowed me to uh, break out of my shell and really challenge, for me at least, it really allowed me to challenge some internal biases I had about, um, the black community. It allowed me to um, challenge some like social biases. And it was really interesting because growing up, people called me names like Oreo and things like that, which is, really offensive. Ultimately, we understand that black is not a monolith, and that there are various, just as there are various shades of people, there are various versions of um, blackness. And so I am only an expert of my own lived experience of blackness. I can't tell someone else what it means to be black, right? So we hear stuff about, oh, I'm going to take your black card, and um, yeah, it's comical. We say it as a term of endearment, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just not true. You're only an expert of your own lived experience. So right, being at Bethune-Cookman, I got the opportunity to really see the different shades of blackness, and what really impacted me was seeing individuals who, uh, from all walks of life, right? I primarily grew up in Florida, and so I didn't get to see people from different parts of the country or even from other countries. Bethune-Cookman in particular has a very large Bahamian population. That is those that are individuals from the Bahamas. I didn't even know what Bahamian meant. That was a new word for me, that I learned again once I got to Bethune-Cookman. And so just being exposed to right, new sights, new wonders. I remember the first time I got Bethune Grill, which is a very, well, I'm gonna say they're world famous wing and ultimately a chicken um, restaurant that's literally right down the street from the campus. You can walk. You can literally walk there, and um, um, I can taste the hot honey sauce right now, and so hopefully I get to travel back there soon and get a 10-piece and fries with extra extra wet, extra fried hard. Sorry, I didn't eat much today. But again, being able to be exposed to various individuals, I was fortunate enough to meet two mentors of mine at Bethune-Cookman who I am still in contact with today. They were actually two professors. One taught humanities, and the other taught sociology. And up until that point, I had only had one black male teacher who taught English, my English class in 10th grade. And so going from right my 10th grade English teacher to now having multiple black male professors was very powerful. It was inspiring to me, and it really pushed me personally to just want to do better. This is another story for another day, but my first semester at Bethune was not the best, both academically and personally and socially. Um, but from that point on, I, you know, I did what I needed to do to overcome some of the challenges. And so having these mentors, being able to go to their office hours and chat with them, learn about their lives and their struggles again as a black male, was really powerful and life changing for me. Now, the story doesn't end there. I said earlier that I attended two HBCUs, and so Bethune-Cookman was the first one. Again, another story for another day, but I ended up uh, being relinquished of my band scholarship. And so, with Bethune-Cookman in particular being a private institution, I was not afforded similar funding as I would have at a public institution, and ultimately I couldn't afford to go there anymore. So after some time spent back in my hometown, I decided to transfer to another HBCU in Florida, Florida A&M University. Now, if you know anything about Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M, you know that these two institutions are rivals of each other. And so every year, the Florida Classic comes to Orlando in November, about the third week of November. And Bethune-Cookman plays Florida A&M. The bands rival. They do a battle of the bands. It's actually a really awesome opportunity to see both sides. Really great food. The culture's out there. And the rivalry has been going on for decades. A really great event that I did get to participate in while I was in the marching band in Daytona Beach, which is where Bethune-Cookman is. But again, I transferred over to Florida A&M, still wanting to have that same experience. During that time, I gained more mentors. I saw more black male teachers, and with Florida A&M being a larger institution than Bethune-Cookman, and it's also a public institution, I saw what I saw at Bethune-Cookman was magnified, right? And it was at Florida A&M that I earned my undergraduate degree that afforded me to go to graduate school and graduate again. And so ultimately for me, I see power in number one, preserving Black history. HBCUs are Black history. The fact that no, HBCUs are Black history, and the individuals, the students, the staff, the faculty that roam the halls and the quads and the cafeterias of those institutions are a part of that Black history. We ultimately understand that historically speaking, HBCUs were created because when we freed the slaves, when the slaves were freed, where were they going to go to educate themselves when the PWIs, predominantly white institutions of that time, they were more than predominant. They were just all white institutions because we weren't allowed, right? Where were our ancestors going to go? Income HBCUs, right? Giving us a space to um, educate ourselves, with the first one being, I believe, Cheney University. And so fast forward to today, that Black history is continuing on with each graduating class, with each incoming class. And so I believe that it is a powerful show of, again, preservation to highlight and showcase individuals who have walked the halls of various HBCU institutions. How have they been affected? What do they value about their unique experiences at their respective um, black colleges or universities? And so wanting to take this on as not only a way to share these stories, but it's deeper than that for me, right? I understand the impact that attending these institutions have had and continues to have on me, and so I want to do my part in, again, preserving the legacy and history by sharing these stories. The hope is that no matter where these stories are posted, be it these long form videos on YouTube, um, short reels on various other social media sites like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, or right again as a audio podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Audible, Spotify, Apple Music, so on and so forth. They'll be here forever, right? And so again, we are literally preserving Black history in the making, and I'm excited to bring on the guests. I have a few lined up, so you'll see them soon. But who knows? Who knows who will come next? Again, I talked about having some college presidents and deans, maybe some celebrities. You never know. And even the ones who aren't in those quote unquote high profile roles, what is going to become of those who are still on a path towards greatness, right? What's going to become of me? Who knows? And so this is a stamp in history of moments to come. Moments to come. So that's really it for me. Again, if you have a little a child of any sort in your life and you're looking for a new book to read, the I See You HBCU book, book one, Amon's Beginning, is in the Apple, or not the Apple, is on Amazon. You can search up I See You HBCU, or you can search up my name, Keyshawn McMiller. Either one works. Shout out to my cousin Brian McMillan, who illustrated the book. Really great job. Actually, this logo you see in the T-shirts was the book cover that he ultimately illustrated. And so I'm excited about where this podcast could go. I'm excited about where it will go. I have faith, I have hope. For those that are listening or watching, thank you for sticking around this far. And hey, enjoy life. See you in the next one.